Ask the Messenger's TV show is a TV show that educates, informs, and entertains our viewers on public health issues such as mental illness, suicide, addiction, illness and disease, COVID-19 relief, crime, domestic violence, homelessness, human trafficking, employment opportunities, healthcare, and more. And now, Ask the Messengers.
Today on Ask the Messengers, we bring you another DWIHN Partnership series featuring an interview with the Youth Connection President and CEO, Dr. Grenae Dudley, plus an interview with the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Specialist, Alia Lucas. Also, real people sharing real stories about their own addiction to recovery journeys. Ask the Messengers begins now. The DWIHN Integrated Health Network provides services and support to 123,000 people in Wayne County. DWIHN serves people with mental illness, intellectual and developmental disabilities, individuals with substance use disorders, and children with serious emotional disturbance. DWIHN is the largest and most diverse community mental health agency in the state of Michigan, and it is committed to providing the highest quality of integrated health care to those it serves while working alongside its dedicated and compassionate provider network. Welcome, Dr. Dudley.
Well, oh my goodness, Tina Nelson, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about this, and we've had a long time partnership with DWIHN. So whatever I can do to help and to make a difference in our community, I'm here.
Awesome. Now, before we get into the questions that I had, what inspired you? You're president and CEO of this Youth Connection. Tell me what motivated, what inspired you? What is the story that said, you know what, I want to start this organization? What's the inspiration behind it?
Well, I think the biggest inspiration is my mom was always about taking care of somebody else's children. So we had foster kids in our home. I became attached. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to say, I remember one young man that we had placed in our home, and then his mom worked really hard to get him back, but I was so heartbroken that he left. But I was so excited about the fact that his mom got the help that she needed to reunite. So I started looking at, and I designed a specialized foster care program for the Children's Center. And then I was recruited. I was at Children's Center for a long time. And then I was recruited by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation to help start what was called the Child Health and Safety Initiative that eventually became known as the Youth Connection.
Tell us a little bit about what are some of the roles that the Youth Connection plays within our communities. What are some of the things that you all have done or are doing?
Oh man, I'm gonna start with what we are doing.
Okay.
We have several divisions here at the Youth Connection, and one of our divisions is called the Youth Connection Career Academies, and that's where we're working with youth. And I always say, our youth that partner with us or come to us, or our parents, say, hey, this is a place that you need to connect to. My role and our role and my case manager's role is to say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And how can I help you get there? But let me expose you to other opportunities. Let me expose you to jobs that maybe you never thought about. I watch some of these professionals on television, and I never knew that was a job, like the professional theater makeup or professional horror makeup, all those kinds of, I would have loved that if I had been introduced to it.
Right.
So we are looking at a partnership to have kids that are interested in designing sneakers. And that if we make that happen, one of the things that will happen is the kids that design sneakers would be able to be exposed to all the Black entrepreneurs in the sneaker business is coming to Detroit in September. So we know our kids have that talent, but that's not something I knew. Is that a career that they could go into? And it's absolutely yes.
You know what I really like too? I have been seeing more like me growing up. We just had we want to be a teacher, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, fireman, police officer, right? Or a basketball player, whatever. But I think the youth today, they have more ingenuity, I think. And like you said, the opportunities, like even now the Oscars, you see them beginning to have the categories, the best set designer or the best casting person. So they're giving more opportunity and bringing it out more to the forefront. And our youth, man, they're so smart, because I've seen them, like, they're poets now and being famous poets. Like I'm saying, it's amazing what they do. And the sneaker game is really, I didn't even know. Now I know sneakers were big, but I didn't know they were like they are now.
Well, one of the things, especially in an African-American community, we probably dominate 80% of the sales in the sneaker market, but only 7% of the businesses and the jobs. So our contact that we were working with at Pensacola Lewis College, his whole thing was, expose them. For one sneaker, there are probably 7 jobs related to that. Right. And these are different career opportunities and choices. We also partner with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, and we have summer youth employment, and we want to expose the kids to all the jobs they can do at the state parks. We have Belle Isle is now a state park. Milliken is a state park right here in Detroit. But and one of the things that we share with the kids is that they have every job possible within the DNR. Just tell us, what do you want to do? So that partnership allows us to expose the kids to the great outdoors, to the fact that, all the resources that are here in Michigan. And then to say, and our kids are telling us, we want to be exposed to something other than the doctor, the lawyer, the Indian chief that we could and possibly couldn't do. And that's our role, is to say, what can I do and how can I help you get there?
What are some of the things that you are doing and some of the partners that you work with within Detroit or Wayne County to help prevent and promote prevention for substance use disorders?
Our biggest partner is DWIHN, Detroit-Wayne Integrated Health Network, and they have been very supportive of the work that we do and the resources that we bring to the community. And ours is about substance use prevention. Those jobs that we're talking about, you can't get them and keep them if you have a substance use issue. But the other things that we do know, there are challenges with a lot of the youth in the city of Detroit. COVID just hit us all. And all the things that we were working to prevent began to escalate, even among adults, when we began to talk about, substance use and marijuana use. And now we're a community that has legalized marijuana. Mm-hmm. Over 21, that's your choice. That's your call to make. Under 21, we still have to give kids an opportunity to be successful. And then smoking marijuana, the impact that it has on you. So that's one of the things we're doing, is conveying to the community, conveying to our youth what their choices are, what the impact of some of those choices could be, and that in order for you to sort of grab the mantle and say, this is what I want to be when I grow up, these are some of the things that you have to avoid. Mm-hmm. So we also are part of the Love Detroit Prevention Coalition. We serve as a fiduciary for that coalition, and we have national recognition in some of the work we're doing around substance use prevention. And I am so proud to say that our kids, my kids, we're responsible for working in the community. They did what was called an environmental scan. And they looked at the number of marijuana dispensaries when medical marijuana was authorized that were operating in our 3 zip codes on the east side of Detroit. Wow. There were 22 of them. There were 30 of them in a 22 square mile area, but not all of them were authorized to operate. Wow. So our kids then took that information to city council, worked with Councilman Benson here on the east side of Detroit. And the question that they asked is, what are you going to do about it? And they were instrumental in having one of those facilities that was not authorized to operate in our community and our neighborhood shut down. So that's what we're doing, making sure that our kids have a voice in the community, showing them how they can exercise that voice. And they have gone to national conferences with standing ovations and just rock the house. And that's what I want to do.
That's awesome. And it sounds like, back in the day, children are to be seen, not heard. So you are giving our youth an opportunity to be heard. And I think that's amazing. What are some of the things that they come to you? Like, they're like, Dr. Dudley, we want to do, what are the kids excited about when it comes to things that's going on within their communities? What are some of the points?
Well, we ask the kids, what are the protective factors that they see in their communities, and what are the risk factors? So as adults, we go in and say, well, I know, school's got to be a protective factor. This has got to be a protective factor, that kind of thing. And they say that's not always true. Mm-hmm. And so the things that they're excited about is that you are listening to what it is that they have to say. And that what we have learned and that we want to communicate to every adult that's out there, when you begin to make decisions about what's going on in kids' lives, it's not about me without me. Ask them. They're excited about being at the table and having a voice. They wear t-shirts that say, "Hear my voice." And so if we hear their voice, then we know the things that they would gravitate to, the things that they would be excited about, and the things that they can advocate for in their community. Ask them what's going on. Ask them where drugs are being sold. Ask them where they're getting drugs from. All of those kinds of things are part of ways in which we engage the community, but with the youth at the table saying, "Dr. Z, that's not going to work." All right. And then why isn't it going to work? Because. All right, then what is your suggestion on how we can make it work? Part of it is our responsibility to help facilitate that change, to hold people accountable for what's going on in our communities and say, "Not on my watch. You're not going to sell drugs in my community. You're not going to sell marijuana out of the stores that my kids have to go to or frequent." And so, but then telling them the truth. We're marketed to for a variety of different things in our community. Our kids are getting vapes with THC, vapes with nicotine. Now they're getting addicted to nicotine. So now you've got a lifelong habit potentially developing, but they're targeting our kids to do it. So our kids are fighting back and they're pushing back and saying, "Not on my watch."
To learn more about the Youth Connection, visit their website, www.theyouthconnection.org, or call 313-826-7099. This is Tina Nelson for Ask the Messengers. And this month, the month of March, is Gambling Awareness Month. And throughout the month, we've been bringing you information as it relates to how you can seek help if you or someone you know has a gambling addiction. But we are so happy to have back again with us Miss Alia Lucas. She is part of the state of Michigan. I'm going to let her tell you exactly who she is and the role that she plays with getting the message and doing things that's necessary from our state to help those who have addictions or families who know of addiction. So Alia, thank you for being here and welcome back again to the show again.
Thank you for having me, Tina. It's always a pleasure to have the opportunity to talk about gambling disorder.
Awesome. So just tell us a little bit about your role and what you do with the state of Michigan.
Okay. I am the Gambling Disorder Prevention and Treatment Services Program Specialist. So in a nutshell, what that means is everything related to gambling disorder education, prevention, outreach, and treatment. I coordinate and administer for the state of Michigan. So that includes the helpline services, outpatient treatment services, prevention efforts, and media promotion of our programs and services.
Awesome. So we recently attended the gambling symposium that was held at the Suburban Showplace. Tell us a little bit about putting that together and what was some of the focuses for that particular event?
So yes, the Gambling Disorder Symposium is an annual event that we have every year during the month of March, which, as you mentioned, is Problem Gambling Awareness Month. So every year, we're looking at focusing on topics pertaining to gambling disorder that can benefit and educate the general public. So for those that are affected by gambling disorder, or for those that are working with those that may be affected with gambling disorder within their communities. So we hope to provide information that will enlighten and educate and give you an opportunity to hear about gambling disorder as it's experienced from those that have suffered through it and are now, on the other side. This year in particular, we looked at how gambling impacts certain segments of the Michigan population. So we're looking at how it impacts youth and young adults, how it impacts the veteran and active military communities, as well as the civilian public as a whole.
Before, when you were here, we talked about when you said to enroll yourself, to ban yourself. How does the enrolling, banning yourself, how does that really work so people can have an understanding of, okay, it's almost like an alcoholic, how when you just feeling really bad, you're like, oh my God, I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again. Now they've signed off. Can you explain how that works so that somebody doing that will make sure that's really what they want to do?
So with what's called the disassociated persons list, is an entire process, and it's led by the individual that's seeking help. Sometimes those inquiries come through our helpline and we'll refer them to the Michigan Gaming Control Board. Other times they'll reach the Michigan Gaming Control Board directly. whether they're put in contact with a specialist, they make an appointment, they complete the application, and they inform them of everything and all the stipulations that are associated with this program, meaning that you're banning yourself from designated casinos. And in banning yourself from these casinos, these are the expectations. One of the things that's impressed upon individuals, though, is that it is incumbent upon you to maintain the responsibility of maintaining your distance from walking into a casino or participating in such activity. In times past, once you put yourself on the disassociated persons list, you were on that list forever for the rest of your life. There are options now that provide you with the option that after 5 years, if you feel as though that your gambling activity is now in a place where you don't feel that you need to restrict yourself so stringently, that you can take your name off of the list. Otherwise, you have the choice to maintain and keep yourself on that list forever.
Wow. So that's good that they have that. And anyone watching, if you see yourself in any of these situations that we've been talking about, we highly encourage you to do what you can, because talk about, talk to that family member now who may be watching, how it affects the family. Kind of like, let's talk about how gambling really affects the family, because we know drugs affects the family. We know alcohol affects the family, but how does just that casual, constant, continual gambling, how does that affect the family?
So at the time that we're talking about how it affects the family, it has transitioned from a bit beyond the aspect of being casual. And then it also depends on who it is in the family that's impacted by the concern. If we're talking about the leader of the household, the parent that has a family, and we talk about gambling disorder, we're talking about it impacting the very thing that's necessary to sustain their home and take care of their family, their finances. And oftentimes it can have a catastrophic effect because there, again, is no physically obvious signs that someone has gambled. And oftentimes when a person reaches out for help, it is because they have gotten to the point that they have compromised their life to the extent that help is the only option. So we're talking, we've squandered family savings. We've compromised the children's college fund. We're no longer able to sustain our lives, right? And those all have devastating impacts to the family. But even if it hasn't gotten to that point, if it's gotten to a point where it's done any of the things that I've mentioned earlier, you're no longer engaging with your family, you find yourself preoccupied, you're lying about the things you do and how often you gamble, it's a problem. And it's a problem, as with many addictions or all addictions, that they don't take the individual dealing with the addiction is not traveling that journey alone. And because of that, we have services that are available in the state of Michigan that are offered to individuals that are the loved ones of someone that is dealing with gambling disorder, in order to provide them treatment services and help them as they deal with the individual that's dealing with gambling that might not be ready to start the journey to recovery, that might not even know how to get help.
If you need help or know someone who has a gambling problem, please call the Michigan Problem Gaming Helpline, 1-800-270-7117. Trained counselors are available 24/7.
What was your drug of choice?
Cocaine.
And how long did you use?
For 15 years.
All right. What made you finally want to seek recovery and seek treatment?
I was tired of being sick and tired. I wanted to live my life for God and stop living for the devil.
What are you doing now that maybe you hadn't done in the past that you think is going to benefit you now in your recovery process?
I am noticing my distorted thinking and trying to figure out different coping skills than resorting back to drugs.
Okay, and what would you say to someone that's still in their addiction and still struggling with substance abuse? What would you say to them to encourage them?
That recovery does work, and it only has to be one day at a time.
I've overdosed 24 times. My most recent overdose, and I have a broken sternum and 2 broken ribs from it, and I was in the hospital for 3 days. I almost died. I had to be on oxygen. So since then, it really scared me into wanting to get sober.
Well, tell me, what was your drug of choice?
Heroin and meth.
Okay, and So with everything that you've been through, I imagine it was just time, right? To just, give it all up. And so what's going to keep you clean? What are you working on? What kind of support system do you have in place?
I have a lot of my friends that are back home and a few family members that are helping me, and my kids are my main support system.
What's your drug of choice, or what was your drug of choice?
Alcohol and weed.
Is this your first time in treatment, or have you been there before?
My second. Both times I actually came from jail, and it's kind of like a hope not handcuffs. And every single time I come, it's only my second time, but I do better.
What would you say to someone who's still out there drugging and drinking and drugging? What would you say to them? What would you say to encourage them?
Just don't give up. Just live every day like it's your last day, and just take it 1 minute or 1 hour, whatever you can, because, sobriety is a big thing, and when you are sober, it feels great.
Tell me, what was your drug of choice?
At first, it was crack cocaine, then it escalated to heroin. Then I left those alone. I'm 15 years clean with that, but I'm substituting that with alcohol. And I've been drinking alcohol for 3 years now.
Are you getting help for that right now?
Right now, yes, I'm standing here.
All right,
I'm in Share House. Share House said, don't leave before the miracle happen. I ain't going nowhere.
Well, I like
Plus,
that.
my mother's in recovery from Share House. That's her all that matter. My mother been clean for 30 years. So I said, if she can do it,
Yes, sir.
I can do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Plus, my wife told me, if you don't go to treatment, then you got to get out of here.
All right.
And plus, I got an enlarged liver, so my doctor told me, you got to stop. But I want to stop because I'm tired of living, doing the things that I'm doing. I be drinking, I throw up blood, I go right back in the store and buy another one. Knowing my condition, I do it anyway. So that's my insanity,
Yes, sir.
thinking that it's legal.
Well, we claim healing over you today.
God bless
In
you.
Jesus'
Thank
name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. And we wish you much success. Keep up the good work, my brother. And what would you tell somebody that's still indulging themselves in substance abuse and addiction? What would you say to them? How would you encourage them to get help for themselves?
Well, to me, you've been doing it all your life, doing something wrong. Try doing something right. And if you come into one of these treatment facilities, don't leave before the miracle happens, because it's not going to happen overnight. You have to want it. You have to work it. Don't let it work you. Work it.
Well, that concludes this week's episode of Ask the Messengers. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you would like to help support our show, please feel free to make a donation of any kind by visiting our show website, www.askthemessengers.org. If you prefer to mail donations, please make check or money order payable to Ask the Messengers TV show and send it to 18400 Schaefer Highway, Detroit, Michigan 48235. Ask the Messengers is the program that deals with things that help you. Thank you for watching.